There are a ton of CS2 warm-up and aim guides out there promising to make you the most cracked gamer in your lobbies and give you insane aim. And well, now I have one too, but this one's different because I tried it on myself and it worked.
Sick.
Hey, I'm Joe, and I've been documenting my journey learning how to play CS as an adult for the past couple years. First I tried copying pro gimmick plays, then I got coaching for a while, and now I'm just kind of figuring it out on my own. It hasn't always been easy, but I've recently reached Faceit level 8 and feel like I have some stuff to share with newer players about what works and what doesn't when it comes to improving past that beginner stage. Right off the bat, I want to talk about who this routine is for. This is a combined warm-up and aim routine that you can run right before your games for people who have, like, a life outside of CS. I know for a fact that it works because doing it every time I play has, over time, led to me having more confidence, winning duels. For the first part of the routine, you're going to need some kind of aimbot map. I like CS stats, but you can use whatever. So what we're going to do in this map is just move horizontally to a bot, counter strafe, make sure our crosshair is on the bot. If it's not, micro adjust to its head and burst. It's all about finding the optimal moment to stop and shoot. Go slowly at first, and then you can speed it up. Ultimately, we're trying to find the quickest possible timing here between stopping and shooting. Make sure you really dial this in because it's so important. So many times when I think back on games I've played where I can't seem to win a fight, I will go back and watch the demo or my screen recording and notice that my first bullet isn't going where it's supposed to due to sloppy counter strafing. Something else I like to do that's slightly more advanced is find the split-second moment when you become accurate as you switch directions and work on tapping in this window too. It's really hard at first, and it's not going to be something that benefits you super noticeably, but I continue to do it because I feel like it helps me work out the overall counter-strafing timing. The second thing we're going to do on this map is warm up our spray. This is something that I neglected for far too long, but once I started working on my spray before every session, I noticed huge gains in terms of my confidence taking and winning duels at all but the very farthest ranges. So you can just aim at bodies to start and spray them down. I also like to work on my static transfers in this workshop map. I'll start by getting a quick first kill and then doing a transfer to 1 or 2 more. Now, you're not going to find an in-game scenario really where there's just 3 guys standing around that you get to spray down, but I find doing this really helps me dial in where my crosshair should be at every part of the spray pattern. Like, say you start shooting an enemy before your crosshair is on him and you have to adjust mid-spray, I find that this exercise really helps with that. If you want to get super intentional about it, you can also, like, on purpose start shooting while your crosshair isn't on the guy and then adjust to his body. Continuing along these lines, this is where I like to go into the workshop map Recoil Master and fine-tune things. I'll just stand and spray going further and further back from the target while trying to remain as accurate as possible and trying to make sure I never shoot above the target's head. For newer players, I would suggest starting with as small as a 5-bullet spray and getting that down before going further. On a related note, I only really practiced the first 15 bullets or so. There's definitely no need to master the entire magazine because the situations in which you're going to be spraying for that long are few and far between. You're going to want to do this with both the AK and your M4 of choice. I've been trying to learn the A4 recently, so this has been a huge focus of mine over the past week or so. I've seen huge benefits with just a few minutes of this every day, but I have to warn you, I did not see them immediately. It took weeks at a minimum to start seeing any returns from this. So don't get discouraged. I promise they will happen if you just stick with it. You're going to be in a game one day and hit a medium distance spray that you would have otherwise done a succession of awkward bursts where you didn't wait to reset the recoil and died while your bullets were an inch over the enemy's head. And it will feel amazing. If you want to get more in depth with spraying, my buddy Wilson has a great video on this topic that I wholeheartedly recommend. So onto our third workshop map here, we're going to practice our tracking. This is the fast aim reflex map. And by the way, I'm going to link all of these maps in the description below. It's really hard to practice tracking in CS, but this is a decent way. You go into the workshop map, grab a pistol, and track the strafing bot's head for a moment before shooting. It's pretty hard to resist the impulse, but don't spam click. No, seriously, do not spam click. It defeats the whole purpose of the exercise. No spam clicking. Don't spam click. I catch you spam clicking. This will also train you to be patient and time out your pistol shots, especially on CT side. There's nothing worse than panic spamming an entire mag of your USP at a T jumping around the corner as you frantically reload and get one-tapped by the guy in the air. So next and last, we're going to bring it over to deathmatch. Personally, I can never truly feel warm until I spend some time in deathmatch taking duels against real humans. It also happens to be a great training tool. You can really put everything you worked on into practice here. Tapping, bursting, spraying, counter strafing. I've been kind of single-mindedly working on my spray as of late, so when I go into a DM, I am spraying at all ranges. It's definitely best to mix it up though, so you don't get in the habit of only spraying in actual games. Speaking from experience here, it's gotten a bit out of hand. But like I said earlier, it is not a quick fix. You do not have to put in crazy amounts of time to see results, but you do have to be both consistent and patient. I also really recommend getting out of Valve DM and going to a community server like Prac or Warmup server. I pay for a Prac subscription, so I have guaranteed access to these servers even when they're full, but it's not really necessary. If you've never played community DM before, it's gonna feel insane at first. Like sensory overload, dying every 2 seconds. But the point is to increase the frequency of your duels to the maximum possible amount, so you're getting the most practice in the least amount of time. The chaos is what makes it so efficient. You'll notice I didn't say how much time to spend doing any of this. That's because it's just meant to be flexible to your needs and availability. In an ideal world, I'd have 15 to 20 minutes to warm up before every time I pug, but it's just not realistic for my life or my schedule. So if I only have a few minutes, I'll go do the counter strafing and micro adjustment exercise for like 100 bots or so. Then I'll just go right into deathmatch because I don't really feel good at all unless I DM a bit. So I'll do that like while I'm queuing for Face It. The point is to just make sure you're doing some of this stuff every time you get on, and make sure that you're like covering different parts if you can't do it all at once, so that over the course of a few days or a week, you will have gone through everything. I'll also do this routine on days where I don't have time to play full games. You know, I can just hop in if I have a few minutes here or there, do some of it, or work on some other aspect, and that I feel keeps me pretty fresh, even if I'm not necessarily gaming every single day. On the other end of the spectrum, I have definitely seen negative results from over warming up. Anything past 30 minutes, I start to kind of lose that sharpness and focus, and it just becomes kind of detrimental. So if you really want to grind this routine, I would say either don't play that day or just like take a healthy break before actually getting into pugs. Thanks for watching this one. If you found it valuable, throw a like, give me a sub. I still always feel weird about giving advice to people given the roots of this channel, but I do actually think I have a lot of good stuff for beginners, since I actually remember what it was like to not know the very basics of the game. Anyway, some of you are probably going to ask me about aim trainers. I use Kovacs every once in a while. I have a RSI in my hand, so I have to be careful about grinding that stuff, but I mostly work on tracking since it's hard to get that kind of practice in CS. So yeah, I definitely see the value in aim trainers. I think they're super legit. CS pros like Elige are on the record about how much it's helped them, so there's definitely value in it. On the other hand, there's people out there who will say like, oh, you need to be grinding aim trainers like 1 hour plus every single day, and I think that's absolutely ridiculous and probably is going to lead you down a road of injury. So I mean, unless you're like trying to be an aim trainer main, then all power to you, but I wouldn't recommend it. Anyway, that's me on warm-ups. I hope this was helpful. If you want to interact more directly, I'm trying to stream like a couple times a week. That's been pretty fun. You can follow me over on Twitch, and I have a Discord as well you can join. That's it. All right, my arm hurts from holding this camera out, so I'm gonna end the video now. Bye.